One of my favourite things to do at home is flower arranging. Bringing nature inside makes me happy. And these changing installations give life to my home. The vases I make are made to be used, and I get so much pleasure dressing each one to be presented to my customers. I enjoy playing with the lines and shapes of the flowers, and often make them mimic the lines in each unique form. This is a vase that I made which deviates from my usual vessel. Sculpting is quite a different skill to throwing or coiling a pot, but I very much enjoy the process. And though I find any form of pottery making enjoyable, sometimes I feel like I want to spend a long time on one piece and luxuriate in perfecting something. And sculpting is perfect for that. So I decided to make a slightly larger version of this vase in white clay. The idea behind her is that she is a strong but peaceful figure, like those I see at temples and shrines all over Japan. I want the viewer to look at her face and feel the strength and peace depicted. I love the texture of these antique grotto busts and plan to adorn her with some of my beach finds in a similar way. If I can combine creating art and going out into nature, this is when I am at my happiest. I have quite a few beach finds already dotted around my home. My kids and I bring little trinkets home when we find something interesting on our beach walks.
Over here, Mommy, come on. Over here, come on.
I grew up by the sea, and we moved here from Tokyo because of its close proximity to the coast. The sea has always had a strong influence on me. I start off with a basic cylinder. Since I am making a vase and not just a sculpture, I need to be able to control the weight and thickness of the clay. So I just build it out from this basic form, which will be the bottom of the vase. At this point, I am just trying to coil up the pot into a shape resembling a head and neck. I blend each coil of clay from the back and from the front and slowly build height. The more you blend and compress the clay added, the more stable it will be. Because heads are not perfectly round like a vase, and because my lady's head is going to be slightly tilted, a lot of support for the clay is necessary. Once the basic head shape is created, relief details can be added. Adding and subtracting the clay to create the landscape of a face takes time. This is the fiddly part that I enjoy so much. In fact, I started over many times. I can mould and sculpt the clay from both the front and the back. I am creating her face without using many references and just going with the flow. I find this way of working more satisfying. I find taking the time to perfect more figurative works very therapeutic. Eventually she takes shape and becomes something that I am satisfied with. The tiniest details can change the face entirely. The placement of each feature is crucial and something I need more practice with. At this point, she is more stable and close to completion. I created the base using the same technique I used to make my hand-molded chawans, which I made a video about previously. The only difference being, I formed it into a hexagonal shape. I carved the outside to give it a rock-like texture. I joined the two and let them dry with support. You may have noticed some other sculptures dotted around, giving me moral support as I create. Whilst I wait for her to dry, I went to collect some textural shells. I cleaned each one carefully, admiring how different each one was and the colour variations. Then I gave them a bleach bath. Once she was bisque-fired, I set to the glazing. First I gave her a very light iron oxide wash to bring out the details, focusing mainly on her hair and the rock base. Then I roughly hand-painted on a selection of glazes to mimic the variations in colour found on the shells. I want the details in the face and hair not to be lost, so I use a clear and a crackle glaze. But I want to bring in the mottled pink colours I found on some of the shells inside the vase. I let her dry and then fired her. And here she is, ready to be adorned. As you can see, the mottled pinks on the inside blend into the subtle icy blues of the crackle glaze and then the clear. She is made from a slightly groggy speckled clay to emulate a slightly sandy texture. I place the shells in different arrangements until I am happy, and then I glue them and epoxy resin them in, so hopefully they will be more hardy. I hope you like the finished design and that it inspires you to go out into nature and make art. I see this as another way to bring nature inside to appreciate. But she is not complete without a flower arrangement. So once again, I went into nature to collect some wild blooms. Right now, the hydrangeas are in bloom, but it seems like something new pops up every week on the wild paths that I wander. In the Japanese tea ceremony, only wild blooms can be used, and I try to follow this for my own arrangements at home. This way, you get to understand what is in bloom and the seasonality of flowers. I hope you like it.